We're really excited about the new capabilities that we're talking about today. As you saw during the keynote, there's some really exciting developments in the world of Flash authoring, and we're happy to be able to share some of those developments with you today. So primarily what we're going to focus on in this talk today is on the stuff that we showed off in the keynote, kind of go a level deeper, and then kind of give you guys the opportunity to ask questions. There's going to be a lot of opportunities over the next week to kind of get a little deeper into the content, deeper in the material, and then talk to the people who are behind the scenes there. So by way of introduction, my name is Aditya Bansod. I'm in the product management group at Adobe. I work in the platform group alongside with the Creative Suite group to kind of build applications that help developers reach greater mass with the skills and tools that they know how to use. So what we announced today was that we're opening the iPhone to Flash developers. What this basically means is that you are able to take your skills, your knowledge, and the tools that you use today, specifically Flash Pro, and build a native iPhone application. So what effectively happens, and we'll go into detail about this in a moment, is when you go to create your iPhone application in Flash Professional, we actually compile your action script down into a native ARM assembly. So ARM is the chipset that's available, that's inside the iPhone. It's made by Samsung, the ARM chip inside of there. They're a licensee of a company called ARM in the UK. And ARM is kind of the de facto standard for how mobile phones operate today. And so ARM 11 processor in there that we actually take your code and convert it into a native ARM assembly. So as of today, we're happy to announce that we have 7 applications that were built in Flash on the App Store today. I just want to quickly take you through some of them, just so you can get a little bit of context and about what's available and what's possible. The first one is a game called Chroma Circuit. Chroma Circuit is a web game by Bowler Hat Games. It was made on the iPhone. It was made on the web, and it was ported by Bowler Hat Games onto the iPhone and made available in the store. The second one is Trading Stuff by Push Button Labs. You guys might be familiar with Push Button Labs. They make a very popular game engine on the web. This was made, this is a new game that was created specifically for this effort. The third one is a game called Red Hood by a company called Flash Game License by a group of theirs called Difference Games. Basically lets you pick out 2 different scenes and pick out the differences between them to score points. This is actually also a adaptation of a web game. So as you can kind of see, one of the things that was really interesting to us as we started talking to people about building content that would work on the iPhone is really the promise of this is take your content that's on the web, make some modifications so it fits and meets the form factor, the performance requirements, and really have it run on the device natively. The fourth of 7 games is a game called Fickle Blocks. This was done by our friends at Blue Sky North, who are a subsidiary of Smashing Ideas in the UK. This is a port of a Flashlight game, actually. An interesting bit about this game is Fickle Blocks actually was a winner of the Flashlight Developer Challenge, and they're actually able to port this game into the native iPhone environment. The last 3 apps that we have available are Just Letters. This is a game where it's basically a social fridge magnet. You can move the letters around. Unfortunately, this one didn't work in the keynote earlier today. One of the really cool things about this, and as well one of the really cool things about our capabilities, is we're going to, by using the Flash runtime, the Flash technology, this game actually uses FMS and uses RTMP to actually connect with an FMS server. So, things that you're familiar with using today, using network connection and using remote shared objects can still continue to be used in the future when you want to actually target your application to run on an iPhone. The 6th game is called That Roach Game. It's a really silly kind of fun game. You basically have little roaches that are running around on these photorealistic backgrounds, and you just stomp them out as fast as you can. The faster you stomp them, the longer you can live for, and the more points you get. And then the last one was the South Park Avatar Creator. This was made by MTV. It uses a couple of new APIs that we made, particularly one called the Media Library. So this lets you as a developer create an image, capture the bitmap, and then save it into the camera roll of the device so you can email it to a friend, save it to a contact, or do whatever you want to. So these are 7 of the apps. They're all available online today at Adobe and the Apple App Store, excuse me. You can find out more about them at adobe.com/go/iPhone. So what exactly is this product? Well, first of all, it's a new capability in our tooling. I kind of mentioned how this is going to become available in Flash Pro CS5. As a new capability that exists in the publishing menu. You kind of saw a demo of it today in Johnny's keynote, and it's going to be that easy to be able to target the various different places where the Flash environment is capable of taking you. So you build your native application using the skills you know, you basically compile it, package it, and sign it. One of the really great things about our tooling is you can actually do this on a PC. So right now, the current workflows that exist for developing apps for the iPhone really force you to kind of work on a Mac. Well, we know just by the nature of how the world works, not everyone has access to a Mac. Not everyone is a Mac fan. So now with our capabilities that we'll bring out, you can actually use your PC to do this, your Mac, and kind of wherever your Flash professional environment is, that's where you can also build iPhone applications. The last really cool bit is kind of, and I'll show you the demo of the tool in a little bit. You can actually flip to publish to the iPhone. The next option under that is publish to Flash Player 10. The one right next to that is publish to Adobe Air. So because you're using the same constructs, the same rendering model, the same kind of language capabilities, you're actually able to take that content and put it wherever our runtimes are, or in the case of the iPhone, are not. So there's 4 key steps to kind of help you make an app for the iPhone. First, there's the development process, writing the code, making the timeline, setting up your symbols, getting your library and your stage all like you want it to be. Second is, you want to test this, right? This is a constrained device. As much as we love the iPhone, it is not a desktop computer. It feels and acts and performs like a desktop. Roughly, vaguely speaking, it's about 1/10 as powerful as a kind of low-end PC. So just roughly, that's a lot less instructions that can be executed in the same amount of time. As well, memory. So there's a lot of testing that has to happen, both to make sure your app performs in a performant manner, and secondly, to make sure you're not consuming so much memory. The iPhone OS is very, very good at protecting the end user against any malicious apps. And when I say malicious, I mean if your app suddenly starts to grow and take up 8, 10, 20, 200 megs of memory, the iPhone OS will just shut you down and drop you right back into the home screen. So we have to be really careful with any kind of app, native or one done in Flash, to be wary of that. Packaging is basically taking your app and making a native application out of it and putting it in the Apple container and then deploying it either through iTunes or with ad hoc distribution. So we'll walk through a little bit of this stuff. So at a technical kind of overview, this is obviously not like the deep nitty-gritty bits, and there are other sessions available in the next 2 days to help you understand that. What we basically do is you take your action script, you write down your action script, you may be using a timeline in Flash, you may be using some symbols. You basically write your code, compile it into a SWF. We're all kind of familiar with what SWF is. It's the Shockwave Flash file. So SWF actually contains a block inside of it called ABC. That's the ActionScript bytecode. So ActionScript 3 specifically gets compiled to ActionScript bytecode, and these ABC files kind of sit inside of the SWF file. What then happens then is when you go through the iPhone publishing step, we actually read through the SWF, find these ABC blocks, yank them out, and actually compile them into native ARM assembly using the LLVM compiler infrastructure. LLVM is a project that actually is used by a lot of people. It's called the low-level virtual machine. It's a very cool piece of open source technology that basically lets you write a modular front end so you can take whatever inputs you want, and a modular back end so you can target ARM, you can target x86, you can target other embedded OSs or other embedded systems, and basically plug and play these components into each other. So you can take what is on one side, in our case, ActionScript bytecode, and on the other side, in this case, native ARM assembly, and kind of spit through the chain and kind of create native application code. Once you've actually got that native code created, what then you have to do is actually sign the app. Distribution onto either a development iPhone or a public, for public distribution through the App Store is through iTunes, and iTunes requires signing of the application. We'll go into a little bit of the details here, but basically your app has to get signed through the Apple mechanism, and so that it can be verified that you, John Smith, are the one who is owning this application. The last part is deploying the app, and we'll show you exactly how that works in a little bit. So kind of